My mom threw some talk for me. They have a big garden in the family and they have nothing growing by she house. So I got the message loud and clear. You all know how moms, they don't tell you what they want. They kind of give you the hint and you have to kind of pick up on what it is you have to do. So I set some seeds about a month and a half ago, some okra, and I also have two Hunan wing bean, which they've never tasted before. Well, they tasted. They got a few beans from when I grew it, but I'm going to be planting two plants by them because they have the space. And as she said, there's nothing growing there anymore. So I'm going to plant some stuff in. I'll take you all along for that little journey. Hello everyone, thank you all so much for joining in. This is Donald from the Trini Gardener channel and I'm really happy that you made it for this video. I'm going to be a little bit different today. I'm just basically going to be planting out some stuff that I have here. Some seedlings that I grew from seed. Set it about a month and a half ago, like 6 weeks, 6 or 7 weeks that I set these seeds. And it's seeds from, it's my own seeds that I set. The germination rate was just off the charts because it's fresh seed that I had recently harvested. What I planted was some okra, right? This is the bullhorn or the cattle horn okra. And I also planted some Hunan wing bean. You can actually see the Hunan wing bean behind me here, this entire vine. It's a perennial plant. So what you're seeing here is the vine itself had more or less died, went dormant. And when it goes dormant, when a perennial plant goes dormant, it doesn't just die. The root itself starts doing growth underneath and it neglects the leaves so that eventually there's new growth on the leaves itself. So this part here that's green, that just started to spring up on its own. And now we're able to have a sort of a second birth, like a renaissance of the Hunan wing bean itself. I haven't shown too much of it, but let me get one from on here and you'll see, you will see the bean itself, the Hunan wing bean. You'll see the seeds from it and you'll see more or less what I planted to then get these plants. Here, two plants, just two plants because it will take over an entire big space wherever you plant it. So you don't want to overplant Hunan wing bean. Like one of this alone, well, you can see how much structure we have here and it was a lot bigger than that. The plant has gone dormant, which is why it's kind of looking tame right now, but like when it was here, it was taking over everything. So yeah, well, these are the seedlings, kind of got tangled up because they were close to each other. They're not very old at all. Like these are really like 6-7 weeks. And you can see the root structures underneath. You can see how much foliage we have. And straight from seed, my own seed, really cool. Cost me nothing at all. And it produces so much. Okay, so this is the Hunan wing bean vine, right? The video isn't really supposed to be about the Hunan wing bean, but since we're here. And what I like to do, and I think that is the best way to get strong, potent seeds, is more or less to leave the bean itself, to leave the pod on the vine to get dry, and that ensures that the beans inside are going to be nice and mature and will give you good plants, right? So I let it just dry on the vine. You could potentially pick it green and let it dry like in your kitchen, but I don't think that is as effective as letting it like naturally die on the vine itself. And already, well, this pod is already broken open and you can see the seeds inside there. It looks almost like pigeon peas. Let me take out the entire one and let you all see. Okay, there we go. So this is just one of them, just one of the beans. You see, it's really similar to pigeon peas, right? When it's not dry like this, it's green and soft and sweet. This is obviously going to be hard, and this is the eye over here, right? And this is what I used to more or less plant these seedlings. Just one of this alone, and the germination rate was really good. No complaints at all with this Hunan wing bean. And one thing to be aware of is that we had some serious rains the past like 2 weeks, and I was kind of worried because the Hunan wing bean, or any kind of plant really that you're leaving for seed, if there's too much of moisture, the seeds can actually start to rot inside of the plant, especially when you leave it on the vine like that. So luckily nothing happened to these, and what I would have tried to not do is to harvest the dry pods when it was wet, because I feel like that could just cause the rotting to happen faster. So what I prefer to do is just let the plant itself, let the fruit stay on the vine and naturally dry with the open air, and then when it naturally dries like what you see now, then you pick it and you keep the seeds, you plant what you want, and you save the rest for next growing time, next growing season, whatever you want to call it. And over here I have my okra plants. These again are the cattle horn or the bullhorn okra. I would have put these seeds in from seeds that I got from my own plants, not the set that I have growing in the garden right now, but I think this set would have been from last year's okra crop, right? So just I think before Christmas last year, I had saved those seeds because I remember the plants dying just around going towards New Year's. And yeah, it was really nice and dry. I like to see that you're getting everything from your own garden as much as possible without having to depend on the outside world to bring it in. In addition to the seedlings themselves, I'll also be taking down some animal manure, which is some cow manure that I have here. You could use any kind of manure. If it's, of course, chicken manure, I recommend that you cure it for at least 8 to 12 months. I know those figures get longer every time, but more and more I hear about chicken manure burning plants. More and more I tell you just cure your own chicken manure. Even if the farmer tells you that it was cured, still bring it home when you don't need it and just let it sit somewhere in the open air. That way you're just going to be sure that the manure you're using isn't going to hurt your plants. Another thing for like cow manure and sheep manure, I generally would leave that for probably 4 to 5 months. A bit less than chicken manure. They're just not as strong in urea like chicken manure generally is. And any kind of manure that you get, just leave it 5, 6 months in general. Chicken manure is the one that I would say the longest to keep it secure for. I don't need much, just a little fertilizer for the plants that we're going to be putting down. Hopefully you can see this nice black consistency. That's how your manure is supposed to get once it's nice and cured and there is no heat at all to this. This feels really cold. That's good manure. That's why I left it so long. This is called manure and I've left it. It's probably been here about 7, 8 months at this point here. So it's basically just soil compost. This is space I'll be planting in this stuff over here. As you can see, it's overrun with weeds. There really hasn't been any activity here, so it's just like weeds all over in the containers. These are just some recycled old plastic that we had. So we had plants in it a while back, like a good few months ago, but now nothing is here. So just gonna clear it out a bit and make some room to plant some actual stuff. First thing, I have my manure that I brought down. I didn't bring down too much, and just gonna be applying this directly into the bed. Sometimes you'll see farmers putting manure in the bed, in the plant bed, and putting it away from the plants. I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to be incorporating it into the soil itself. So more or less planted into the manure, mix with the soil. I'll show you how I mix it, and you can do that when your manure is perfectly cured, so it has no heat at all. If your manure is in any way probably hot, then you can't use this. You have to put it like far away from your plant, like at least a foot away, so you don't burn your plant. This is just an idea of how I mix it up. So this is incorporating. This is mostly topsoil, some peat moss, some perlite. So just mixing up the manure into it. So you just add. And here I'm planning to put in a Hunan wing bean. So I separated it. The two seedlings were kind of there together. So just kind of loosen up the roots a little bit. And you can see the wire fence is right there behind. So I'm not going to put these very deep at all. Just enough to make the root of the ball root. Oh my goodness. The root ball to just cover under the soil and then just kind of prop it up a bit on the fence, and that's it. It's going to take off. Hopefully it starts to grow and it'll grow and bind all over the fence. That's what it looks like from above. So you can see not very deep at all. It's not tomatoes. The second one has a much bigger root structure. You can see all the root on it. Very, very strong. This is not an old plant, so it's just growing really, really fast. That's the entire root structure there. See how developed it is. Just really strong. This is an idea of what it looks like behind me. These flowers just allow so much of life, and life is really what we use to grow our plants in an organic garden. So it's good to have these kind of wildflower kind of plots when you're able to. Not always, but sometimes. This is my first okra going in. The okras were in a smaller container, so the root ball is a bit more what you call root bound. So I'm just gonna, that's the taproot. That's what I'm pointing at there. I'm just gonna just rough it up a little bit. Right, this helps the plant to avoid transplant shock, and let it just go deeper into the soil as fast as possible. If it's root bound, then it's kind of gonna take some the roots a while to realize, okay, I need to go down, as opposed to just going around and around. So yeah, just gently, you just kind of massage it and it will eventually come out. Sometimes if you put a bit of water, that'll also help with it being root bound. There we go. You're ready to plant. Not a deep hole at all as well for okra. Okra is not very needy. Just making some space here on this next bucket. This bucket actually had a papaya tree growing inside here. So the roots is still in there. Pretty big roots. I didn't have the energy to take out the entire root, so I'm just planting around it. Incorporating some of the cow manure. Mixing it up a bit more. And here I have another plant bed with another okra. This bed is pretty much just leaf mold and some cow manure. I didn't get permission to plant it, but I think it should be fine. This is what it looks like from above. So it's mostly just leaves and whatnot, which I don't really recommend. But with okra, and I had one more seedling, why not just throw it inside there and hopefully that works. Or we just hope for the best. And we're back home. I really hope that you all enjoyed this video. More importantly, I hope that you learned something from this video. I hope it's going to encourage you to get into your garden or get into your friends, your parents' garden and grow something in spaces where we can't grow and there's nothing currently growing. It's just a time when we need to be trying to produce as much food as possible in a way that's self-sustainable, that's organic, that's self-sufficient, that's affordable, and that's nutritious, and that's also healthy for ourselves, but also the people that we know. Remember that if you know somebody who would be interested in growing more healthy organic food for themselves and their family, to share this video, but also share the channel with anybody that you know, and just help them in this time, just to be in that whole vein of producing our own food and being self-sustainable, being self-sufficient, being able to grow your own food. Remember, you can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and on Facebook to see what's going on in our garden. And feel free to tag us in any of your videos on those platforms or pictures. We're just happy to see what you all have going on in your spaces, in your garden spaces. See you all connecting with your friends, with your family, with nature is just such a motivation for us on the channel. Remember, this has been the Trini Gardener channel reminding you to get up and get green. Take care.